Hi, I'm Jeff Murrah. I want to welcome you to True Texas History. Today I'll be talking about Belton. There's been some controversy in Belton, and in one of the news stories, one of the people that are stirring up trouble said that talking about the history of Belton and the controversy over the statue honoring the veterans, it says it's a tragic history that shouldn't be spread. When a community does not want to share its history, that's always tragic. Belton, it was home to many regiments, and I'm going to take a little bit different approach. I'm going to go ahead and list them, and then I want to talk about the people, because it's some of the individual people that make a difference. But let me go ahead and start. You had people, you had citizens of Belton that were in the 17th Texas Infantry, the 1st Texas Mounted Rifles, the 16th Texas Infantry, 6th Texas Cavalry. You had Peter Bell, who Belton is named after. They combine Bell and town, hence Belton. Clever, huh? And he was the colonel of the 2nd Texas Mounted Volunteers. You had the 1st Texas Cavalry, 4th Texas Cavalry, 6th Texas Cavalry, 18th Texas Cavalry, and 6th Texas Infantry. The list is phenomenal. Belton, as a community contributor. Now, keep in mind also that not every soldier rushed out to volunteer. Many of them were drafted. And if you're drafted to serve in a war, you do your duty. But that's a whole nother story for another time. What I want to talk about are the people, because some of the people that were veterans made significant contributions to Belton. One was J.Z. Miller. J.Z. Miller was, after the war, went on to become a bank president. Now, sometimes people didn't like his policies there. Besides being a bank president, he was active in the local Disciples of Christ. And, people went so far as to burn, make effigies of him and hang him and burn him in front of his bank. And he stayed calm during all this unrest and carried on his business. Now, one of the things about J.Z. Miller, he was on the board of the Adran Christian University. Essentially, he was one of the early founding fathers of what became TCU. If it wasn't for this veteran, we probably wouldn't have Texas Christian University. Another veteran who became a lawman and protected the city of Belton was Albertus Sweet. And he was a sheriff of the community, was very instrumental in dealing with the Horrell brothers and the Mason County Hoodoo War and the Horrell-Higgins feud. When you stepped in the middle of a shooting match like a feud, you're putting your life on the line. And he did it, and he was a peace officer there in Belton, and he died in 1881 while arresting a suspect. And then you had J.B. Supple, and J.B.B. Supple, excuse me. J.B.B. Supple was an interesting character because he was one of the leaders in the firefighting efforts in the major fire of 1879. A fire ripped through Belton, nearly destroyed the whole town, and the members of the fire department, known as the Belton Light Guard, they were also members of the local militia. They mobilized, and they were instrumental in keeping the fire from doing more damage than it did. And then after the fire, they switched from being firefighters to going back to being the local militia, and protected all the property from looters to keep it that way, because people had to protect, what they worked hard to have there. And that was important. Now, T.A. Supple also came from Belton, and he was the postmaster of the town. Now, one of the things that he did, he made it a point of every day when the stage came in, he greeted it in person. And he also, since not everybody in Belton knew how to read, he saw to it that he got the local paper, and much like the old town crier, would read the newspaper there in front of the post office every day so that people would know what was going on in the news. And one of the favorites of the crowd happened to be the New Orleans Picayune. We forget, but people in those generations, they had their favorite newspapers, and they had some that they didn't like. And these were one of them. Now, another member, another veteran was Spencer Perkins. And Spencer Perkins, of course, he was from Brownwood, Texas, but he assisted Reverend Henderson in organizing the Emmanuel Chapel Methodist Church in Brownwood, which I think is still in operation. But, a lot of these men went on to establish churches, universities, and played major roles in things. And all I did was just select some of the figures from the Belton area. Because, it burns me when somebody says that you shouldn't spread the history. Actually, I think we need to spread history and consider what can we learn from it. Rather than make the same mistakes of previous generations, how can we make ourselves better from the lessons learned from those previous generations? And some of these men actually made some significant contributions. Now, it's not possible to put statues of all these men all around a county courthouse. So many times what they did, they would put up a statue to commemorate all of them because there's not enough room to tell all their stories. But I hope you enjoyed this brief touching on of history concerning Belton and some of the men of Belton who have made major contributions. I would think that saving the town from fire and stepping in front of feuds and stopping them, and taking care of the community in terms of reading to those that might not be able to know how to read and so forth, that those are admirable qualities that need to be celebrated, and there's stories that need to be told. So I wanted to go ahead and talk about Belton and some of the things that happened there. It's a great little community. Let's hope it stays that way. And until next time, this is Jeff Murrah wishing you vaya con Dios. Goodbye.